Welcome back, everyone, to Life Uncensored, Navigating Adulthood, one episode at a time. It's your girl, Amanda Lockhart Davis, and we have a great show for you today where we're going to be celebrating and discussing International Women's Day, which is on March 8th, and then also Women's History Month, which is all of March. So we're going to have with us the great ladies that you've seen before, Chanaye, Chynna, and Terrina. And we are going to delve into this topic and we're going to have some fun as we always do. So if you're listening live, make sure you're dropping comments, you're liking, all that good stuff, because we love to hear from our audience while we're talking. In the meantime, we're going to start the show off with B2B with Extra Hands with my friend Rashid Ahmed. And you are going to get some really good insights from him this evening regarding the subject of International Women's Day and Women's History Month. So welcome to the stage, my friend Rashid Ahmed.
Hey, friend.
Hi.
Hey, my friend. I'm happy to be back here. It's been a long time since we've been face to face and live like this.
And live. I'm glad to have you. I miss you. I miss you a bunch.
I'm honored to be here, especially for this topic, considering you have such a phenomenal cast of speakers tonight to be thrown into the mix on a topic that, you know, in terms of gender doesn't really identify me, but I work with so many women that it's pretty awesome to be here with you. So I appreciate the invite.
Well, that's exactly why I thought it was appropriate to have you on live for this specific topic, because I know just that. I know that you work with a lot of women. I know that you've employed a lot of women with Extra Hands. So I think it's right on target. So I'm just going to ask you right off the bat, Rashid, who is or are some women in your past or present who've inspired you and been intricate to not only Rashid, but also Extra Hands?
Man, no fluff tonight, huh? You straight to the gut.
Straight to it. Boom, boom.
That's a great question. I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't mention first and foremost my mom. My mom had an amazing entrepreneurial spirit, and she opened multiple successful businesses before she passed. And I always was intrigued by her tenacity. Like, I was very curious, like, where does she draw this from? And I was always very, very proud of her ability to just stay resilient. My mother was not a quitter. She was not. She was a fighter. So first, I'd have to give much respect to Mom. And she laid the entrepreneurial spirit in me. But in my current professional life, man, there's so many to name. I'm going to not try to name some because I'm going to leave somebody out, like an Oscar award. Be embarrassed about it tomorrow. But you know, I've had the luxury and the pleasure of working with one Miss Grizel Wright, the mentor I didn't know I needed, the strategist I didn't know I needed. I have had the pleasure of working with a host of women around the world who have supported me as VAs within the company. And inversely, I've had the pleasure and the luxury of working with amazing women founders and entrepreneurs and small business owners who have kept my business alive, you know, and very much thriving these days. A lot of them in the nonprofit space, but plenty in the private sector. And, you know, to date, I would say more than 96% of my clients in the past 8 years have been women. And that percentage is probably also true for my staff, both current and through the years. I'm surrounded by women, and I have to give a shout out to the right hand of Extra Hands, my right hand, Katie Miller, my COO.
Katie!
You know, she's my little, you know, what was Jiminy Cricket to Pinocchio? That's
conscience. Let your conscience be your guide.
Keep me in line, bro. Like, it's not an easy task because I'm a dreamer. I should have started. Katie got to bring me back.
I love that. I love that. So when you say a lot of the women clients that you have, they've all been entrepreneurs?
Yes, by the very nature of the business that I do, yeah, they've all been entrepreneurs, you know, at this stage in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to this, in the hospitality years, not necessarily true. You know, I had influential women in my hospitality days too. It was a woman who gave me my first opportunity to be the GM of a restaurant down in Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out to Jasmine Blaze, the wife of famous chef Richard Blaze. She saw a spark in the kid, and she took me from server to manager. Next thing you know, I was off and running. So, yeah, I've
Wow.
been surrounded by positive women. It was a woman who brought me here to Morocco, dear friend of mine, a phenomenal powerhouse of a woman. Um, and it's women who recurringly come back to Extra Hands. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
something very special and very powerful about a woman's ability to balance a business in this market in this day and age, whether it's this country of Morocco or America. Regardless, I've seen people, women specifically, defy gravity, you know, with the odds that they're up against, and it's still not an even playing field.
I love that. That's awesome. As a final thought before you leave us, Rashid, um, tell me and our audience if there was one thing that you wish you can put on a pedestal that you learned from one of these fantastic women, what would be that one thing be?
Man, that's a tough one, but one popped right in my head, so I got to go with it. Slow down to speed up.
Mm,
Slow down to speed up. And there's just a quick analogy to a company that it can be applied in so many ways, but it was given to me back in my restaurant days, but I use it daily now in my own business. But if you think about a server, you're sitting in a restaurant, you, Amanda, in a restaurant, and nobody as a customer is going to be comfortable or feel good feelings about a server running around a restaurant like something's on fire. That
mm,
completely puts you off. It's an
absolutely.
uneasy feeling, right? So now imagine that you're the manager and you've got server A and server B. And one of them is sweating bullets and just like in the weeds and they punching in this order at the POS. And the other one has just as many tables, just as many bodies that they're serving. And they're just as cool as a cucumber moving through. And I walk up to the station and I go, hey, you guys need anything? And the one who's frantic is like, no, just don't touch none of my tables. Everything is fine. And then the one that's cool as a cucumber is like, yeah, as a matter of fact, you know what? I could use some water on table 25. I need dessert menus down on table 22. I need somebody to pick up my drinks from the bar, and chef owes me some French fries. Like that kind of clarity only comes from
Mm,
being calm and slowing down and having a full grasp of where you are. And I think it's applicable in so many spaces. So I took that,
that's
kept it.
awesome.
Yeah,
Slow down to speed up.
slow down and speed up. It
That's
works.
great. That's great advice. Rashid, I'm going to keep you on for a quick minute while I introduce the ladies. Thank you so much. B2B with Extra Hands. Tell everyone how they can get in touch with Extra Hands if they so need your services.
First of all, thank you again so much. Always an honor to be here. Life Uncensored has been a huge, huge stepping stone for us, the ability to share your audience. So I'm always
Thank
grateful.
you. I love our partnership.
It is a good one. If you wanted to get in touch with a company who absolutely owns and thrives and lives and breathes DEI and equality, both in hiring and in who we work with, Extra Hands virtual assistants can be reached at Extra Hands, VAS as in virtual assistants with an S.com. You can find us on the same socials. And you can find us on anything that we've done with Amanda because we're all tagged everywhere.
There you go. Thank you, Rashid. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to introduce our panel.
I'm excited to
And
see.
you guys should know them well. They've been on a few times. They're a great group of ladies. We always have fun together, and they're just so insightful. They're intelligent. They're beautiful. They know what they're doing, and they know what they want, and they know where they're going. And that's one of the things that draws me back to them every single time. So, without further ado, let's bring them on. First, we have Miss Chanaye Jackson. She's a dynamic entrepreneur transforming business operations and processes for enhanced efficiency and profitability. With a keen eye for improvement and a passion for the future, she optimizes processes to boost morale, peace of mind, and the bottom line. with peace of mind being the favorite thing that I love and all of that. Miss Chanaye Jackson. Hey, Chanaye, thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
And listen, Rashid's in Morocco. Chanaye, tell everybody where you are right now.
I'm currently in Tulum, Mexico.
So the people I know get around. I just wanted to point that out real quick. I just wanted to point that out. Okay. Thanks for being here tonight, Chanaye.
Thank you for the invite.
Next up, we have Miss Chynna Morgan, a two-time tech founder who is a trailblazer in marketing and music technology. And I'm going to pause right there just to throw a shout out there about that very sentence. Missy Elliott had her tour last summer, and Missy Elliott's team reached out to Vidlo, the company that Chynna is a founder of, and used her services. So I just want to throw that out there. I just want to keep pushing how dynamic and how great these women are. And that's just one example of such. Chynna leads Vidlo, a turnkey solution for launching user-generated video campaigns to help brands capture customer testimonials and content. Chynna is dedicated to sharing innovative ideas on audience engagement and business growth. So welcome to the stage, my friend, Miss Chynna Morgan.
Hello.
Hey, Chynna. Hey, girl. Hey.
That was a cool intro there.
Absolutely. Listen, whenever I can shout you ladies out, I like to do so. So here we are. And I'm just so proud of, you and what happened for you this past summer with the Missy Elliott tour. I think that's big. And I don't think you talk about it enough. So that's why I wanted to shout it out. Because you just be tootling along, all humble. And not me. I'm gonna speak it for you.
Well, thank you for amplifying.
I wouldn't have known it if it wasn't for Amanda. She had to tell me. I didn't.
I'll tell everybody. Yeah, so my friend Chynna. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here with us tonight, Chynna. Next up, we have my friend, Miss Terrina Taylor. She is a small business consultant and credit card processing expert specializing in merchant services. This is important, especially for us entrepreneurs who are selling products. So pay attention here, okay? Terrina is dedicated to supporting local businesses and fostering growth within the community. She also advocates for financial education at an early age, believing in the power of knowledge to shape better financial habits for the future. She's a woman after my own heart on that one. She encourages and supports minority entrepreneurs to take control of their finances and achieve their business goals. So introducing my friend, Miss Terrina Taylor.
Hey.
Hey, Terrina. Hey, y'all. Hey. All my girls are in the house. Except Rashid. Y'all ignore him for a minute. He's not right. Thank you
Segue.
for being here, Rashid. Thank you,
Thanks,
Terrina, Chynna, and Chanaye. Rashid, any parting words for the group?
No, I would just say the only thing that I would say is that anybody out there who is confusing DEI or equality in the genders in the workplace a trend, then they're living in the Stone Age. And for anybody saying that there's no good talent out there, they're looking in the wrong places. I have been inundated with talented women around the world and have had the pleasure and the luxury of working with some of the most dynamic, which I think is the word of tonight, women like the ones here on your panel. And it was just a pleasure to be here. I know when I'm outnumbered, and this is a topic that I am going to let my ladies have tonight. And I will be tuned in, dialed in, and supporting you all. As always, Amanda, thank you so much. And to you ladies, continued success. It was a pleasure meeting the ones of you that I haven't met before. And Amanda, I can't wait to catch up and talk about what's coming next for us.
Thank you so much, Rashid. As always, I appreciate and love you to the moon, my friend.
Likewise. Happy International Women's Day coming, and happy Women's History Month it is, right?
That's right.
Got it. Have a great show. I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Rashid.
Bye, guys.
Ladies, it's just the ladies in the house now. Woo, woo, woo. Yay. Happy Women's History Month, ladies. Happy International Women's Day, which is coming up on March 8th. I'm so glad to have you guys here. this topic, especially in the climate that we are in here in the US right now, I feel like is an important one that we address not only on this show, for the purposes of this show, but just in general, something that we should be talking about. And you know, one of the rules of Life Uncensored is we do not talk politics. That's something that is completely off the table, but we will talk about everything else. Um, so I say that on purpose because I want the audience to realize that this celebration of women, it's not a political situation. It's not a political topic. Women help run the world and have been doing so since they set foot on the ground. And I think it's important that we recognize that and say that out loud, for those who, may be like, oh, here we go with the DEI politics stuff. No, this ain't about politics. This is about celebrating women anywhere and everywhere. So again, I thank you ladies for joining tonight to discuss this topic. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. I'm going to ask this question to all of you. Jump in when you're ready. As we know, International Women's Day celebrates women's achievements and pushes for gender equality. What does this day personally mean to you as a Black woman entrepreneur?
I don't know if the day really means. I think we should live every day in that way of like understanding
Thank
ourselves
you.
and understanding who we are. I don't think we need a day to highlight how amazing we are as Black entrepreneurs, as women overall.
I love that. Yes, absolutely. What would you say, Terrina?
That's kind of a tough question, but I definitely agree with Chana. But it just made me think of a post I seen the other day on social media where a guy was just coming up to people asking them questions, and he asked a woman, "Who do you think has done more for the world, men or women?" And she said, "Women, of course." And he went on to say, "Well, who you think did this and who you think did that?" His whatever he was talking about, he was all talking about men. And she said, "Well, yeah, they gave birth to them all." His whole
slow clap for that one.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah, we carry the burden of so many things on our shoulders, and especially as Black women, we have to carry that, and we have to do it without, showing attitude or disappointment or any other negative word that we are usually tied to. So I mean, it's just being a Black woman is actually an honor. So I'm proud to be a Black woman, and I'm glad that we do get some type of recognition in the outside world. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, definitely we should celebrate it every day.
Absolutely. Chanaye?
Yeah, I think I'm with China. Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw talks about the theory of intersectionality. And so every day I show up as Black and as a woman. And so every day for that is a good day. And I mean, I'm glad that we have a month and I'm glad that we have a day, but I'm here 365 and 366 on leap years. So I'm going to get it one way or another.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Something I was thinking of as you all were talking was, yeah, we have to show up regardless, whether it's our families, our friends, whether it's the jobs or whatever. We have to show up, and we are expected being the operative word, to show up with a smile on our face, regardless of what's going on in our own little world, right? And I say that because, and I chuckle to myself at the same time because, the past couple of days I've been fighting a sinus infection. You guys might hear it in my voice a little bit, but it was important for me to do this show. And guess what? I didn't show up with, snot bubbles and tissues laying everywhere. And, I rested up all day today so that I could show up for this episode specifically, right? With a smile, with a genuine happiness to see you all and talk with you all. but this is because this is me doing something I love. So it's very easy to do that. But that's not always our story. That's not always the case for us, right? Whether it's showing up to that corporate job or showing up to that family event that we really don't want to, but we got to go to, whatever that thing is, we got to show up. And, I feel like we're the only creatures in this world, women, that not only realize, but also accept and actively show that life doesn't stop spinning because we're going through stuff, right? Not feeling well, having a bad day, feeling sad, whatever the thing is that's just you're going through, the kids still got to eat, so we got to make dinner, bills still got to be paid, so we got to go to work, or whatever the thing is, and you all's answers just reminded me of that thing, right? It doesn't matter where you are in a walk of life. As a woman, you always got to show up somehow. And we're expected to do so with that smile on your face. So
I want to say something. I think as you were talking I think women equal resilience. And I think that's just what women are, especially Black women. I think that is the definition of how we show up in the world every single day is we're resilient. That's what comes to my mind.
Yes, definitely. So the theme for this year's International Women's Day is for all women and girls, rights, equality, empowerment, which I think is a perfect theme, especially for this particular year. So with that, what does this theme, thinking about that, what does this theme mean to you, both personally and for your businesses?
So I'll take a stab. By the way, this is Esmeralda. She's 8 months old, so she likes to spend quality time. So girl power still in my house.
Girl power.
This happens to be on my shoulder, so I apologize if you hear her purring or making any other bright and shiny noises. I got a dog too. When I think about rights, my goal is to sneak women in wherever I can, to sneak blackness in wherever I can. I don't really care about what a policy is, if a policy exists or doesn't exist. If I think that that's the best person to be in there, they for sure gonna be in there because I'm looking for them, and I'm gonna keep my eye out. And so I was having this conversation just in the last couple of days with my best friend, and she was like, we were talking about, her and I have had some really special places where we have been quite high up in the food chain, and I think that we forget, and I'm saying we as a social we forget that DEI policies were unnecessary for people of color. And I say that because that's kind of controversial, but DEI wasn't meant for people of color. It was meant for everybody else who's not a person of color. And so what that means for me is that all I need to do is just make sure that I'm finding the most qualified one, and 9 times out of 10, the most qualified one is a person of color, is a woman. So I'm just gonna make sure that we slide you on in because that's where you belong. And I am merit-based. And so merit-based often is that person of color, that woman, and that's the combination. Because I'm rooting for everybody Black and brown. I'm gonna be very, very honest. So in the times in which I've had the opportunity to be as selective as I want to be, as selective, I'll just use that word because there's lots of others. The times in which I've been able to be as selective as I want to be, my eye is very open to who needs that opportunity, who needs that door opened. And it's not about affirmative action or DEI or whatever policy. It is about the best person who shows up, and I see you.
Do you think, with you saying that, Chanaye, do you think that part of that mindset for yourself and other people who have the same mindset comes from seeing the inequities over the years? Or do you feel like it's more of a innate reaction to making sure that everybody gets an equal share of the pie?
We're creatures of our environment.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I think, and so I grew up in a place in which being white was the minority by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up where the majority was brown. Excuse me. I grew up on a Native American reservation in Central Washington. So all of my friends were Native American and Mexican. And so I had a handful of white kids, and then there was me and my sister were the black ones, and then there was another set of boys too. So I grew up in a space where to be powerful, to be amazing, to be respected was to be black and brown, primarily brown, right? But to be black and brown. And so I don't immediately subscribe to, well, if they're a white person, they're the best person. No. And where I grew up, the person that's most respected, the tribal member, the chief, the police officers, the like all of them folks, they're all my color. We're all tanned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't go immediate. So the way I was raised is we don't know what the other folks are doing, but what we do over here is.
Yeah.
And so, right. So I don't know. I'm a creature of my environment. So all I like to say is like, even though, yes, now I'm in predominantly white spaces because of the things that I do and the work that I've done and the accomplishments that I have accomplished. Yes, now I am more predominantly white spaces, but I'm still Chanaye Jackson from the res. And like, it's no, we still over here looking at brown and black folks over here.
I love that perspective, because very frankly, how often do you hear about that perspective, right? How often do you hear that? Oh yeah, I grew up on you know what I mean? So that's a great perspective to bring to this conversation. Thank you for that. Terrina, Chynna, do you guys want to chime in on that?
Yeah, what I love with what Chanaye said is that I think a lot of times we try to see how we can help people outside of our own community or outside of our own network. And what Chanaye was saying is kind of like the people that I know, I'm going to help elevate them. That's empowerment, right? Like, why are we looking out and not looking within? And I think that's what it's all about. Is how can we help each other? My sister, my cousin, my friends, not someone that is 50,000 miles away from me. I don't know them to want, to have that person, no need for them to want to empower them, but how can we empower our community within? And
it starts there.
It starts there,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I love what Chanaye was referring to.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a great point, Chynna.
Yeah, I think too, as Black people, we have come a long way. I was recently just reading something about as far as like when schools were first integrated with Ruby Bridges and how she was the first Black woman and she's 70 years old. So it wasn't that long ago. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the time span of that, her lifestyle until now, like some of the things that our grandmothers experienced as far as dealing with the other races, it's something that we not on, we might deal with it occasionally, but not on a grand scale like they had to deal with it,
Absolutely.
So it's just a blessing to be living in this time that we are represented and we have somebody that looks like us in places that wasn't before in the past, And it's just an honor to be, like I said, associated with Black women, because most of the time they want to be us. They trying to be everything that they always made us hate, things that we have in ourselves, and they try to make us hate it and hate each other and put that against us, and to put enmity between us as women and people of color. And now I think people are just, learning to appreciate that about themselves. Our hair, our lips, our nose, all the things that when I grew up, it was certain things that, we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
with dark skin, you were not considered that beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You had nappy hair, I had the big lips and a big nose. So it was like things that you wanted to change when you got older. I'm gonna get this done, and I'm gonna change this. But no, we just grown to appreciate that and love that about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with our young girls now, it's so many, especially in my community, it's a lot of girls don't have the representation of women who are doing great things. There's a lot of women that are addicted to drugs or have been abused by men, or they just living on the system, and they continue that cycle, teaching their daughters to do the same thing, having big babies young and living off the system. And so to me, like Chynna said, empowering the people that we do know in our own communities, that's something that we really should be focusing on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right. We stand on the shoulders of so many who came before us. And I, in particular, last month, I did a post around Maggie Lena Walker, the first Black and woman in the same sentence, president of a bank. And she was from Richmond, Virginia. So not only that, but she was on the other side of the Mason-Dixon line. So that's like huge for her time and what she did to get there. And not only did she do that, she bought other banks that were going under up with her and made them successful. And if I remember correctly, don't quote me, I'm not 100% sure I'm remembering the year correctly, but it was like 2005 or 6, maybe even later than that, where the bank that she first established and was a president of finally closed its doors for the final time. So that legacy is huge. And then very frankly, and very personal to me, I'm obviously a very fair-skinned Black woman, and she was a very fair-skinned Black woman. And but she was a powerhouse. And it's things like what she did, and that's just one thing she did. She kind of was like the maker of a mini mall. Like she was kind of the person behind the idea of a mini mall, the way we know it now, right? She just did so many things, and I just go back to, and we're standing on her shoulders, and it's a beautiful thing, and you want to honor that by remembering those that came before us and taking the baton and going further in the race. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it, at least. That's my feelings on it. So yeah.
I think, just like a additional comment. We have just wrapped up Black History Month, and now we're here in Women's History Month. And I think it's important for me to state that my bias is that I am Black first and a woman. I know what people see on me first, and it is definitely, at least in the U.S. anyway. I know what my skin color looks like. I know what the expectation is, and what both good and bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then add in that I am female, right, and I present as a woman. There's some additions to that. So I will go ahead and state for the record that my bias is I'm rooting for Black people, period, and Black and brown, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And then I root for women, because realities are, and history has shown, is that the reason why women have rights in the way that they do is because of Black women. Period.
Every
time. So I'm going to just state for the record that I have a very, 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 very strong bias, and I will be talking about my Black womanhood very, very highly, because I know exactly who I am because of the history in which I come from.
And you know what? That's it right there, because you know the history of where you come from. And let's just call a spade a spade. As the generations go down, that's not necessarily the case. You know what I mean? And if we are not teaching our generations, we can't expect the schools to, or the media to, or whoever else to. We need to be teaching that history. No, I love that you said that, Chanaye. I love that you said that.
But I also love the fact you said that, Amanda, is because I think it's all been about education. We've never been educated enough to know how strong and powerful and smart we are. And that's the reason why we've been able to be so seduced as a community, So I think now we have the internet, we have resources to really understand where we come from. And then we have people that we can also see, oh my gosh, she's a founder, she's about to be the president. It's in our faces more, where we can see the power and how amazing we are,
Yeah, you're definitely right on that one. Definitely. So let's talk about some of the challenges women entrepreneurs face, like funding for their businesses, resources, mentorship. What do you think needs to change specifically for women in businesses to have equal opportunities? And Terrina, I'm going to point this question to you, since you and I are working on a project for resources for the communities for new entrepreneurs. What are your thoughts on that?
Things that need to change. So many things. Education, number one. I think, like you already said, we should be teaching our communities, but I mean, the system is broken to the fact that we're not learning some of the things that we should be learning early on. I think we have to go through like trial and error to learn some things that we should be learning beforehand. And I think that that's just a disservice to our communities in general. I mean, that's number one, top of my head that I can think of is just education.
Absolutely.
At an early age.
Do you, when you say, trial and error, do you liken that to learning the hard way?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have the opportunities there in our communities that other communities do have. So a lot of the mistakes that are made is because we don't know about other things.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. And then our parents didn't know, and then their parents didn't know. So it's no pass down of education from the older generations in some of our communities. So it's like we have to go all the way out to the outside to figure out some things that we should have already readily available to me.
No, I agree. This questions to the panel. What's one tangible action businesses, investors, or even communities can take to better support women entrepreneurs and professionals?
I want to say something on the last question, which I think
Sure.
leads to this question, is that what if we stop relying on the systems that were not meant for us? You know what I mean? Like, what if we were able to create our own systems in our own way to get funding and to get different opportunities? Because I think a system that's not made for us is never going to be made for us to win, right?
Yeah.
So what are we doing in order to make our own route? Why do we have to rely on investors? Why can't we have a community that comes together and pours in money for woman-found businesses? I think we have to find other ways, but just blaming the system all the time because it's not made for us. We know this, so what are we going to do? And I think that's where resilient comes in as women, is that we're always going to figure it out, right? And no, okay, here goes another door. So I just wanted to add, Terrina, I agreed with you, but I just wanted to add that point as well.
Yeah, no, you're right. You just reminded me of that movie, The 688, that Tyler Perry did.
I just saw that. Yeah.
That was a phenomenal movie. And it was one particular line that she says, and I know I'm going to botch it, but when she said it, when I tell you it garnered a physical reaction from me, it was towards the beginning of the movie. It's Kerry Washington's character. When the new recruits had come in and she's getting ready to train them up. And she said to them, and again, forgive me if I'm botching it, something along the lines of, you do not have she said, you don't have the luxury of being treated like the others, meaning the whites on the other side who were also getting trained up at the same time. You have the burden of being better. And I feel like that not only talks about who she was talking to in terms of women, but who she was talking to as Black women, women of any color. You have the burden of being better. Like, you have to be better so that they'll kind of maybe sort of think about seeing you as equal. And that, when I tell you that, like, literally gave me I literally had a physical reaction to that. That's some real stuff. And that's what I'm hearing from you all. We've got some folks joining in. Hey, Keith. Keith Franks joined in. Extra hands is on deck. Amin is on, and he said, well said, Chynna. We've got some friends commenting and saying hi. So yes, I'm sorry. Let's talk about that. Like, what what else can we be doing, right? Because I started my business, Jack's Consulting, with the mindset I'm not going to go looking for loans. If I can get a grant somewhere, great. But I'm not going out looking for loans to have to pour back into, let's just call a spade again, to the white man's pocket, right? I don't want to do that. If I can't do it by on my own merit, me building my own funds, using my own savings. Again, maybe some grants that are geared towards women or Black and brown women. Then I'll rather struggle longer to get to where I want to be than to go get a bank loan or what have you. So, like, what else? What else are you all's thoughts around that question about what resources? We could use to better support women entrepreneurs.
Well, when you think of like other cultures, right, they come together and help build businesses, right? So like they're pouring money into each other's. They're buying stores, they're buying spas, but everyone's coming together. And I think we kind of need that foundation in a sense. It's like, where's your community of women or your family that you guys can just pour into each other and like can create businesses? That's one way. And I've seen it. That's what I've seen happen. More so in the culture, not so much as like just women coming together, but
Sure.
we were able to take that with a group of ladies.
I think in terms of like creating opportunity, I mean, yes, there's coming together. I think really it's more of the basics of what you need is already right in front of you. So capitalizing on that, right? So I'm talking about in my community, I already have 20 people that I can count on to be the speaker, to move that thing, or I'm just in one introduction away, right? Like my network is large, right? Like and of all people, it doesn't really matter. Like it doesn't matter. So going back to sort of what I originally said is like what's in front of you is what you needed, or is what you needed, right? So going ahead and being willing to ask, but also starting with what's in front of you, right? And granted, I think part of our issue is that, to be honest, I don't really think we need much more education. And this is me as an educator, I'm saying this, so roll with me. I don't think we need more education. I think we need more application. And so because we have way too much education, there's this like funny saying. There was a point in which I wanted to be a doctor, and I was thinking about cardiology specifically. Not that I wanted to be a cardiologist, but I was reading a book, and he said this cardiologist wrote it, and he said, the things that I have learned and forgotten more things than you will learn in a lifetime, right? There's so much education available to us at our fingertips, to Chynna's point earlier, but what we don't know how to do, and what you learn in medical school, what you learn in business school, what you learn in school, or at least what you're supposed to, is you're supposed to start learning the ability to apply, right? You take something, you've taken something, you've learned it, now I can go and use it. And so what do we need to do to help people go from, I learned it, now I know how to use it? And so as an educator, my job was, okay, so what do you do? And so what is like my favorite term, right? Thank you, Mr. Shepherd, English teacher from 12th grade. And so what, right? So I think that in the same way, where I'm challenging people, when you're looking for something, why can't you go to the person that's in front of you, but making a very concerted effort to make sure that that person doesn't look like you? So white men have a tendency to go after white men. White women have a tendency to go after white women. We can flip that script, right? Because what we do know is that we don't need affirmative action in the way that we thought we did. We don't need DEI in the way that we thought we do. We still need them. Don't play, and we need them in very, very, very specific places. But as a whole, we already have very, very qualified people ready to go, and they don't need the systems. They don't need all of these policies. We need you to do the work and the application of putting people in the right places in which they should be. And so I should be in this place, right? Because I've done the work, right? And I've aligned myself to be able to be who I need to be in the right places. And I'm saying I as like a broader, like a social I, right?
Sure.
Right? Like I deserve to be there, therefore I should be. So who do I need to shake hands with, or who must I meet? And as that person I'm the person that they need to meet, what do I need to do to make sure that I'm keeping my blinders as far off as I possibly can, and recognizing who is in my space. And again, my bias is I'm rooting for everybody Black and brown, right? Like, so maybe that's a part of it too. It's like,
But
I
can
want
we call
everybody
that
to
a bias, Chanaye? I mean, because
Let me
let's be real, right? Is
let's-
that really a bias, or is it a necessity for survival? And I
I
say
would
that because, how many times do we see, like you said just a minute ago, the white man's going to go find the white man, the white woman's going to go find the white woman. Listen, we joke about this, comedians joke about it and whatnot, but you see families of Latinos, and it's a lot of them, different generations. Not only are they all living together, grandma, mom, dad, and kids, and so on. Not only are they living together, but they are helping build each other up. They are, very visibly and tangibly. So is it really a bias?
Do you think we're born to think it's a bias for us to support each other, whereas other cultures and other ethnicity is just what you do, because they know how powerful we are together, kind of thing. So we already think like, it's kind of like we're not aligned in the beginning.
I mean, I guess we have I guess that's a part of it, right? This is part of the reason why I said what I said earlier is my Blackness and my womanhood are not separate. I know what I look like, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm calling it a bias because it's easier for people who are not Black and brown to understand bias.
But again, here we are again. This is a perfect example
But
of
is
us
it bias?
bending
Absolutely not. I know what I look like.
ourselves so that the others can hear what we're saying and get on board with what we're saying. We have to bend and change and shape ourselves in a way to be accepted by others in some form of fashion. And that's just another example of that. Even as small and minute as it is still that, right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to add. Like everything that Chanaye was saying. On top of all of that, we need to respect.
Yeah.
That's it. Like RESPECT. Like Rita
Mm-hmm.
sang it back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
We need to respect. Like we need all of those things and the respect on top of that.
So true. Ladies, on that note, I want to take a quick 1-minute commercial break. We are having a great conversation, everyone. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just 60 seconds. All right? Life Uncensored, navigating adulthood one episode at a time. We're available on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can also check us out on our website, life-uncensored.com. Come on over and see what you've been missing.
Reminder that if you want to be exceptional, you're going to be different from everyone else. That's what makes you exceptional. You can't fit in and also be exceptional. Both have discomfort. When you fit in, you have internal conflict because you're not being 100% you. When you're exceptional, you have external conflict because everyone sees you as different. Pick one.
Hi, everybody. We are back with Miss Chanaye Jackson, Miss Chynna Morgan, and Miss Terrina Taylor. Thank you, ladies, for coming back and continuing this conversation. It's been really good thus far, and I appreciate you all for it. I want to talk just a moment about, just get you all's thoughts, feedback on empowerment and the word empowerment. But the way I want to shape it is from each of you to just give me one thing that you feel like you are conscious that you are doing to empower others around you, whether it's the younger generation, other women, other Black and brown people? What's one thing that you feel like you are consciously making the effort to do to empower others? I'll start with you, Chynna.
I'll say share opportunities. Share if they are looking for something and I could put money in their pocket, I could connect them with who they need to, then I'm going to do that. And I think that's empowering in itself, sharing the wealth, sharing the resources, sharing what you have.
Mm-hmm. Terrina?
I think me personally, I'm preparing my children for greatness. And I think that that's something as mothers that we should be doing, especially with our daughters, because they have so much that they're going to be going up against growing up in this society today, and getting them prepared for anything that comes their way mentally. Because this generation, our generation, I don't want to make fun of the generation, but they're a little bit weak. Our generation was we stronger, this generation kind of weak a little bit. So you gotta these kids, you need to get them prepared.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we ain't had social media growing up. I got social media when I was like I was grown when I got social media. So it's just growing up with social media is a hindrance. Was a hindrance to this generation. It's dead. But you gotta prep these children, and that's one thing that I do want to do. Like Chynna said, share resources. Like that's for these youth. They need to know that it's better things out there. It's other things, like there's some things that you've never even looked into. You don't know anything about, but they should know about these things.
I like that. Chanaye?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same or similar boat that Chynna is. You have a question, please ask. And it could be any question, and I'll tell you everything. Like, there's no competition, because if my competition is irrelevant, right? So I'm happy to share, tell. You got questions? I probably got answers. Are they right ones? I'm gonna hope for the best, but I'm gonna do my best.
What happens?
I'm gonna do my best. I'm not gonna give you the wrong information on purpose. How about that? But yeah, I mean, sharing is probably the big one. But also keeping my eye out. I wanna have good talent around me, a good network around me. So if I need to tap you and be like, yo, I mean, there's been consistently where my goal is that I have my bias, my love is I'm rooting for everybody Black and brown. So I want as many of us in my rooms as I possibly can get, and who will make. And I mean, the funny thing is when I think about my experience, I want people to think, "Whoa, she's amazing. He's amazing." Right? Cool. I know a lot of those. Let me bring you into my room with me.
Yeah.
But there's something. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
There's something that you said in terms of like, I think empowerment doesn't live in competition, right? You can't truly empower people and not want the best for them. Like, and try to slight them and be competitive. Like, you can't want more than me, and it doesn't live in that space. So I think in order to really empower, you have to really want what's best for people and be okay with if they are, have more resources than you, or they are making more. Like, it doesn't matter, because you truly just want what's best for them and your community,
Right. Not, you can't help. I'm yeah. I'll say for myself, I don't laugh at me, ladies. Okay. So my love language is quality time. And to me, empowering others is giving that quality time, whether it's a meeting. And sometimes, listen, me and Terrina meet pretty much every week. And, with an agenda, a process in mind that we're going to go through. And sometimes it's like, girl, it was a rough week. You know what I mean? Just listening to each other kind of vent a little bit. It could be, hey, can we get on a quick call? I have somebody who I think might need your services, but before I send them your way, I want to make sure that I understand a few things. That to me is quality time. You know what I mean? I've done that with Chynna before, or saying, hey, you should really check out Chanaye's LinkedIn page. She has a lot of great articles that she posts that gives information about the X or YZ thing you just talked about. Like those things, spending time with people and showing that I'm okay with time is free. Technically, right? I say technically on purpose, but giving people my time, hearing them out, understanding their needs, and then trying to help them find a resolution or a resource for it. I am a fixer by nature, and I guess that kind of falls into that. But it starts with me spending time with that person, getting to know that person, getting to understand that person. So for me, that's where the empowerment comes from what I, try to actively, consciously be a part of, right? And put out into the world. We have Nicole Garner who joined us, and she's a friend of Life Uncensored, and she just chimed in saying being each other's cheerleader is empowering and showing others grace. We all don't get it right the first time. Like that's definitely empowering. I agree with that, Nicole, 100%. I agree with that. Okay, ladies, we've been talking that it's also Women's History Month. That's celebrated every month, every March. And we know there's some barriers that we've had to face, that we talked about some of our earlier generations have had to face. What is something that you think about this younger generation that is coming up behind us? What are some of the barriers, women and girls specifically, do you think that they are facing right now that might hinder them from, and I say hinder, let me rephrase that, hinder or slow them down from adequate growth in their lives? I'm going to tell you, for me, the first thing that came to my mind is social media. I've said this 100 times before. Social media is good for what it's good for, but it also gives you a lens that we didn't grow up with, right? I am very proud to live blissfully ignorant in some things, right? Like I don't want to know every single time a plane fall out the sky. But with social media, right? Or the complete flip of that is I don't want to know every time X star gets a butt job or a boob job or a lip job. I don't give a rip. Like, you know what I mean? But with social media, and I think that that's a hindrance in some ways, not in all ways. I don't think social media is all bad. I'll never say that. At least as of date, I wouldn't say that, it's all bad, because it's good for what it's good for. But there are things that our young girls are seeing that, in my opinion, hinders them from understanding. Number one, this isn't real. Number two, that doesn't have to be your story, good or bad. It doesn't have to be your story. So that's what comes to mind for me in terms of the things that might be hindering our younger generation. What do you ladies think?
I think that's an interesting take on that question. I like that. I think apology is also in that as well, right? Apologies for taking up space, for being present. So it's sort of in social media terms as well, but the in corporate, I remember my last job. My coworker, also a woman, she'd been at the organization for several years, long time, like 15, 12, something, a lot of time, right? And she was a white woman, and she goes, Chanaye, I said, I'm always late, not by a lot, but just like 2, maybe 3 minutes. Like I just need 30 seconds to breathe. I need a sip of water, right? I'm always just like 2 or 3 minutes late to the next meeting. It's not a thing. She goes, And I'm like, and so the first thing I say, I don't know why I brought this to her, but she was kitty corner to my office. So I saw her all the time, right? And so I said, Pam, I'm always saying sorry, and I'm tired of saying sorry. And like what the answer really should be is like, you should end your meetings early so you can get to your next thing on time. But like, that's not how it works in real life, right? And so she goes, Chanaye, you might be 2 or 3 minutes late, and that's fine because we know how real worlds work. So what you're going to say is thank you for your patience, and you're going to move on. No more I'm sorry. You were doing your job. And I said, okay. So I've had to like Google because education's real, right? I've Googled like, where can I stop saying I'm sorry, right? So I'm late. I'm late, but not because I was messing around. I'm late because I had a client whose call ran 2 minutes past. And I'm gonna let the person know who's waiting for me. I'm running a few minutes behind. Thank you for your patience. There is no I'm sorry. And so how do we go about teaching our women and girls to stop saying I'm sorry? I'm sorry for what? Existing, for doing what I'm supposed to be doing, for treating you the way that you should be treated, for treating you the way in which you deserve.
Right.
Right. This is the word. This is the word. This is the word.
Right. Okay. I'm listening. I'm waiting for the cello to be playing in the background. Yes.
Yeah. How do we get it? I think that's probably the thing. How do we get out? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. And you know, you saying that, I like to, I appreciate your grace. Thank you for your grace. All right. So where were we? Okay, go ahead. You know, or whatever. But yeah, I've found myself over the past few years employing that. Thank you for your grace. I appreciate your grace. Because no, I'm not sorry. Because you knew I had these meetings back to back. You saw on the calendar when you booked this. Or when you asked me if I had any meetings and I told you I did. So you knew. Okay. And I've been in meetings since 8 this morning. It is now 3:30. I had to stop at the restroom. I hadn't eaten lunch yet. No, I ain't sorry. But thank you for your grace. I feel that, Chanaye. I feel that.
Listen, I don't have nothing to say. You guys summed it up quite well. I don't have nothing else to say about it. Social media and no apologies. Look, I took that. I'm taking that for myself. Okay.
I don't specifically know how to word mine because I don't want to say one particular category in general, but my daughter just recently had this experience at her job, and this guy, new hire, comes up to her and pretty much sexually harasses her. It's music playing loud in the restaurant. He comes up and grinds on her. She immediately pushes him away and says, "No, we don't do that here." And he, offended, steps back like, "Oh, you don't dance?" And she was like, "I dance, but this is not a club and we're at work." So he proceeds to get angry with her and talks about how, see, it's bees like this, and calls her out her name. It's bees like this who
where's she work at? Let me write this down.
Right. That's why I said we need to go up there. So but it's men not holding themselves accountable. And then he proceeds to pretty much make a lot of women there feel uncomfortable. So my daughter reported him, and a few other ladies reported him. He has not been fired yet.
And this is a new hire?
Yeah, restaurant. And they're saying that there's nothing they can do. So my last recent encounter, which was maybe about a month ago at this point, I asked her about, the situation. And she says, yeah, he's still there. And he's saying, since so many people have reported him, women have reported him, not people, women have reported him. If he gets fired, he's going to call his family up there to bank all these bees.
Oh, that's how we're rolling? Bring your whole crew, boo. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's my kid. I'm thinking it's my kid. I'm sorry.
That's when the hood come out. See, but the thing is, these people are not being held accountable, and to me, that's a problem. It goes back to what I was saying about the respect. So the respect and the other people, especially men, holding themselves accountable for some of the things that how they are treating women. That is a hindrance. That's a problem. That's an issue that has to be addressed.
No, that's a perfect example of a barrier. And, we're seeing this play out in Hollywood, right? Women are starting to stand up for themselves and call out men directors, as they've been putting it, men of power, infringing on their personal space in one way or another. And this history has been since the dawn of time. It didn't just start yesterday. It's not only in Hollywood. It's not only with this group of women, this race of women or that race or this age even of women, it's everywhere. And without the accountability, once again, we're supposed to show up with a smile in our face, no matter what. Exactly. So I'm supposed to show up and be in the same shift with this guy and still put a smile on my face and give good service to our customers and pretend that I'm comfortable around him. Now, you start using words like, okay, well, let me ask my lawyer if y'all can't do nothing about it.
That's what I said. That's the
then you're the aggressive, angry black. The labels start to come out, and it's one big ball and circle of confusion. And that's most certainly a perfect example of a barrier that women have to, especially our younger generation, have to face. And unfortunately, because of their age, they look at things like that less seriously. And I think
not my kid.
No, I mean the people who they went to train, look at, because it's coming from that younger generation, they look at it less seriously. You can't tell me there ain't nothing you can do about sexual harassment on the job.
Facts.
Or my favorite trigger word for HR, hostile work environment.
Because I'm like, she could sue, right? If the job doesn't do anything.
I mean, to me, at this point, if he decides that he do want to bring his family up there to assault any of the women who reported him, we got a lawsuit.
But because she kept. Oh, we'll keep going.
I'm listening.
I was going to say the fact that they didn't do anything initially, isn't that grounds for some type of something? Law.
Listen, y'all about to get me on my soapbox over here, because I'll be on 7 on your side, 9 News Today, NBC for you. I'm sorry. Okay. Not my child. Let me mind my business.
That's how it was though. That's how it was. I was like, hold up, what they talking about? They can't do nothing.
So that's a very real example.
Yeah. I haven't talked to her specifically about him yet, because we just haven't had a chance to talk. She moved. She on college campus now. She working, just trying to get through things. So, but to me, that's a big issue. I personally never have worked in corporate, so I don't know all the ins and outs and all those things. But I know when something ain't right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. No. And that takes us back to the subject of how do we teach, protect, empower. You know what I mean? That's a perfect example, a very real, tangible example of how do we teach, protect, and empower that younger generation of women coming up behind us.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that, she's dealt with that and is continuing to deal with it. Obviously, they're both still working there. And then the other young ladies who are also dealing with that. It's so unfortunate. And, but that's goes to our topic of empowerment, right? And like I said, the theme for International Women's Day this year is for all women and girls, rights, equality, empowerment. Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that, because that's just, it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, she was actually she was the first one to speak up, because all the other girls they weren't going to say anything. They were just going to let it slide.
She was that in and of itself was empowerment.
Exactly. So she was the one coaching them. No, girl, I'm gonna say something. I'm not going to be quiet, because that's not what we do. We're gonna speak up. We're gonna advocate for ourselves.
Yes.
That's one thing I do teach my girls. We're not gonna just be quiet and sit here and let this happen and ain't nobody gonna say nothing. We don't do that here.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
That's
Well,
not
you know what?
education. From the
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
part.
we're not-
Yeah.
That's what I'm
And-
saying. But it starts at home too, and a
Yes,
lot of the
ma'am.
girls don't have that at home, so
Yes, ma'am.
that's an issue.
And big ups to you, Mom, for teaching that, because a lot of our girls don't have that.
Hmm.
A lot of our girls weren't taught that, not necessarily on purpose or facetiously, just sometimes you're looking at the world through rose colored lenses, and you don't realize that this is something that I have to teach or should talk about or whatnot. But it's a lot of girls who don't have that. So big ups to you
Yeah.
for instilling that in them.
Even if you watch like we big Law and Order fans here, so we watch SVU, and you just look at some of the cases there where women have been raped, and they don't say anything because they don't think nobody gonna believe them, or it was somebody in a position of power, and I'm just like they minimizing their situation, their feelings, how they what happened to them, and I was like, no, we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I want to talk about our past and our future, right? As we honor, the women's whose shoulders we stand on, and look to the future and eventually become shoulders that are being stood on by those behind us. You know, can each of you talk briefly about one lesson that you've learned as a woman in business, very specifically as a woman in business, that you would like to pass on to the next generation?
I'll say embrace the pivots. And I always say that, but I think as an entrepreneur, as a woman, you're gonna get so much stuff thrown at you all the time. But we're perfect at what? Maneuvering it, figuring it out, and keeping it moving. So embrace it, learn from it, and and grow from it.
Mm-hmm. I'm with that.
Mine is about them boundaries. You know me and them boundaries. Get some boundaries. Stick to them boundaries. And self-care. Take care of yourself. You gotta take care of yourself before you take care of anybody else. Make it a priority as well, because a lot of times we put ourselves on the back burner because we're trying to do everything for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's you are not less than. So when I'm working with my business owners, my clients, and my friends, right? So people I'm just talking to and I want to, especially, you should believe yourself first, right? Like what was your idea? Oh, okay, cool. That's you should go with that. I don't need to talk you into anything else. Don't let anybody talk you into something that don't feel right. So right. So just do that.
Right.
Yeah, I had this really interesting conversation with this woman not too long ago, about a week ago. And it was fascinating for her to tell me she's been working with business coaches who tell her that she's wrong and that she should do it a different way. And so that paralyzes her into not making her next step, right? Because she's fighting against her brain saying that doesn't feel right. And then what she heard was this person said, no, you're wrong, you should do it this way. And it was so sad, because I was like, man, it's going to take you that much longer, right? Because the next question I asked, and I'm just using her, I've been thinking about her a lot, as you can probably tell. I said, so when that happens, how long does it take you to get through that so that you can go ahead and take action? Because you asked them a question for a reason, right? So if you get this answer that doesn't jive with who you are or how you act or the way that you move in the world, so how long does it take you to then move through this? And she's like, it can take a while. And I was like, dang. So when I tell you to take imperfect action, get started, I want you to do it tomorrow, now, in an hour, 30 seconds from now, right? I want you to work immediately. But now but somebody else is telling you, no, you're wrong. Now you're going to wait a week, a month, 3 months, a year before you take imperfect action. And we don't have time to waste is what we do know.
And no business owner is perfect. And I think that's what makes the secret sauce. It's like all this stuff jumbled, bad decisions, good decisions, just a jumble.
Absolutely.
Jumble, good decisions, bad decisions, accidents.
Oh, accidents.
Absolutely.
Oh, that works. Okay.
Right. Good accidents and bad ones. Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you do that? I don't know.
I don't remember. I wish I wrote it down myself. I don't remember. I tried a bunch of stuff. I don't remember. I don't know.
I can trace it for you, but I can tell you the way that I got here was not the easiest one. That's not the easiest way to have done this.
One of the things that I would give, or the number one piece of advice that I would give is when you believe something, stand 10 toes down with it. Period. For me, that's respect. Respect is very mutual. It's very reciprocal. And if you are not respectful of me, I am not going to be respectful of you, and I will end our engagement without batting an eyelash. And if for whatever crazy reason I lost my mind for 10 minutes and I'm not respectful of you, I expect you to call me on it, in the engagement, whatever your action feels is necessary, because it is reciprocal. I even build that into my contracts. If you act out of pocket with me or any of my staff, I have the right to terminate this, and you still owe me for the rest of the term of the agreement. And likewise, if you have been disrespected in some form of, if somebody acts out of pocket, blah, 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 blah. Like to me, that's, and that's okay. And the reason why I come to that is because I worked in corporate for many years, and I've seen, my superiors hire on, maybe it's an implementation contractor for a new system, for example. And they're acting crazy. Or it's like in property management, you have your owners, and they think just because they're the owner of the property that they can talk to and treat you like crap because of their name. And it's always, Jim Doe is here. So everybody, everybody. And I'm like, you're going to catch Amanda in her natural state every time. Okay. I was raised that I don't give a rip who you are. You can be the president, the czar. I don't care who you are. You can be the janitor, the maid. I don't give a rip. You're going to get the same level of respect. You're going to get the same kindness and love and grace from me every time until you cross my boundary, my line of what I deem is respectful. And I believe wholeheartedly in that. And I think a lot of time business owners, especially just starting out, feel like they can kind of push that to the side as they get themselves established. No, it needs to be the other way around. Establish it from the gate. You won't have to worry about that going forward, right? It's like being a teacher in class, and you're nice to the class all year. You let them go to the bathroom 50 times a day. You give them candy, and then at the end of the year, you try to be Miss Hardcore and show some rules. The class laughs at you, and they're like, all of a sudden she got some balls. It's the same thing, right? So you establish that respect from the gate, and for me, it's at contract signing. You establish that respect from the gate, so that you don't have to deal with it later. Or if you do have to deal with it, dealing with it is, per your contract that you signed, we're ending this engagement. Oh, and you owe me X dollars. It's due in 10 days. So that would be my bit of advice, that establish what your boundaries and rules are, very specifically the respect of, a mutual relationship right at the beginning. That would be my advice to young women in business coming up as entrepreneurs. Ladies, as usual, you have been an absolute joy to talk with, laugh with, share. Terrina, offline, we're going to get all that information because, we don't play about ours. But ladies, please tell our audience how they can stay updated with any of your upcoming engagements, events, your socials, your websites, all that good stuff. Let everybody know where you are, who you with, and what you're doing. Chanaye?
I'm always getting into stuff. If you can spell my name, you can find me. So I am predominantly on LinkedIn. That is where I post every day. Subscribe to my newsletter there. I have a fireside chat actually with Chynna Morgan this next Wednesday. So very excited about that. So jump on my LinkedIn, you'll find all the info there as well. So it's Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central. It's a fireside chat. Do that. We're going to be talking about marketing and customer testimonials.
Awesome.
So
what time, Chanaye?
1 p.m. Central.
1
2
p.m.
p.m.
Central
Eastern.
on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday.
Yep, the 12th. Jeez.
Awesome.
Crazy.
Awesome. Chynna?
Yes, to our event. I can't wait for that, Chanaye. Next Wednesday. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm there every single day. And also my website, vidlo.video. And check what we're doing out. If you need testimonials, UGC, we are the place to be.
Awesome. Miss Terrina?
Same. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. That's pretty much my two places I am. And you can check out my website, TerinaTaylor.com. I don't have anything that's like planned coming up, but I do have some things in the pipeline. So I'm looking forward to those things. And I'll be sure to announce them on my social media channels.
Awesome. So stay tuned, everyone. Okay, ladies, one last question for you. If you will tell our audience who is one woman, and it might be hard for you to think, narrow it down to one, but just one woman, past or present, who has inspired you in your journey.
I'll say my mom, my mom. She's empowered me to do what I want to do. And I can't thank her enough for that. So it'll definitely be her.
Shout out to Chynna's mom.
Shout out to my mom. Ma.
Same for me, my mom. Yeah, since she was an entrepreneur, I just knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur, and I can't even imagine doing anything else.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Shout out to Terrina's mom too.
Yeah, I'm going to round it out. My mama. So,
yeah. Ain't nobody like my mama.
Hey, we can fight about my mama. Shoot. Well, I will throw hands on I will throw hands on my mama. Like talking about my mama. Please don't do that. Yeah, no. The best, she's the best of them. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Chanaye's mama. Ladies, you have been awesome as usual. Happy International Women's Day and happy Women's History Month to each of you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to ask you ladies to sit tight while I close out the show. We have a lot coming up in the next couple of weeks. Our next episode will air live on March the 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking with Miss Courtney Ramsey, specifically about women's photography. So you'll want to stay tuned to that very interesting conversation. In the meantime, I want you guys to like, follow, share, subscribe. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify, as well as LinkedIn. So check us out, Life Uncensored. On most of the platforms, you'll see us as Life Uncensored Live. Look for the blue phoenix. That's how you know it's me. Okay, look for that blue phoenix up there in that right corner if you see that. And like I said, like, follow, share, subscribe, Spotify, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. All right, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors, tell everybody. All right. If you have an idea for a show, a topic, or you'd like to be a guest on our show, please reach out to us. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. And I'd love to have you. We're on life-uncensored.com. That's life-uncensored.com for those who are watching it scrolling at the bottom of your screen. And if you want to promote or advertise a service or product, same thing. Go to our website, life-uncensored.com, drop us a line, and we would love to chat with you and see how we can collaborate. All right? All right, I'm going to leave you all with my quote for today, which I think is quite fitting. And it comes from Eleanor Roosevelt. And the quote is, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." I'm going to say that again because that one was powerful. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So happy Women's History Month. Happy International Women's Day to all the ladies out there. Remember who you are. You cannot be made to feel inferior without consent. All right. So make sure that you tune in for our next episode, March 19th. Thank you guys for having me. Make sure that you do something kind for someone. Make sure you stay hydrated and make sure you take care of you. Have a good one, guys.